Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono2FC and today I'm going to be diverting from the usual Chelsea related content to predict who I believe is going to win the 2024 Euros tournament. Now I'm going to be using the predictor from The Telegraph because if I did the official Euros one I'd have to go through every game individually and we'd be here forever, but if you'd like to see me do that at some point, let me know down in the comments and perhaps I'll do it as a live stream or something in the near future. I'm obviously doing this before the squads are all confirmed, so some of the players I mention here might not make it out of the provisional squads. We'll have to wait and see. We're starting with the group stages and we're starting with Group A. Germany, obviously they are the hosts. They are probably 100% going to win this group. I don't really have much of a doubt in comparison to the other squads. I think they're the strongest team in this group by far. Obviously they have the advantage being the host, as I said. The only thing that is worrying about them is they do have a bit of a lack of a centre forward. They've obviously got Füllkrug from Dortmund and Kai Havertz, who's been doing a little bit better in recent months, but they still don't have that really out and out forward that's going to get them loads of goals, and they're going to have to rely on the midfielders to kind of do that for them. However, I don't think that'll hinder them in any way. I think they'll comfortably win this group, and they'll probably be one of the final four in this tournament, in being honest. Next up, the team which I'm going to be putting in second is actually Switzerland. This is a really underrated team with a lot of good ballers. Akanji, Cher and Elvedi in defence, Xhaka and Freuler in midfield, and Zeki Amdouni and Noah Okafor up top. They have shocked a few big teams in the past, and I think they will do that again this year. I think they have more than enough quality in the side to get above Scotland and Hungary. Moving into the third place, and this is going to be maybe a little biased because I am half Scottish. I'm going to be putting Scotland in third and Hungary in fourth. Individually, I think Scotland are a weaker team in terms of the player quality that they have, but as an actual group, as a collective, I think they are a very strong team. They beat Spain in the qualifiers, and they could get second here genuinely if they actually put their minds to it. Obviously, we do not have a very good track record of actually doing well in international tournaments, but the team seems really united, and we seem like we've actually got a good base now. So hopefully they can actually get at least 3 points and get into third. Do I think they'll actually go through from the third place position? Probably not. We'll have to wait and see. Hungary I've put into fourth. Obviously they've got a few big names like Szoboszlai and Milos Kerkez. They've got a decent defence, but the majority of the team is pretty bang average, and I feel like they'll struggle to score goals as they have done in the past. Obviously they no longer have Balas Zizek in the team, and he was like a big source of their goals from set pieces in years previous and other tournaments previous, and they don't have him anymore, so I feel like they will very struggle to score goals, and they'll probably end up in last place. If they get a point or not is another question. I'm not sure about that. Let's move into Group B. Going into first is obviously going to be Spain. They have a good defence, a great midfield with Yamal, Pedri, Rodri, etc. A weaker attack, but Joselu has been decent for Madrid, and Nico Williams is representing them instead of Ghana, who's great. I think they just have more than enough quality in the side overall and very good depth. I think that they'll obviously be able to pip these other three teams. I don't think that the other three teams pose much of a threat to them. Let's speak about the team that's going into second here. It's going to be Italy, obviously. Solid team mostly, and the previous winners. I think they'll come second just due to their attack being less impressive than Spain's in general, and they'll probably lose to them in the actual game between the two clubs, or two sides rather. They don't really have a big name striker other than Scamacca either, and Chiesa isn't as good as he used to be, so I feel like they're just going to do a little bit worse, but obviously they'll get through into the next round and probably progress at least into the last 8. The next team I'm going to be putting in here is Croatia. This is a pretty obvious group to predict. In my opinion, I'm going to be putting Croatia in third and Albania in fourth. Now, Croatia are an aging team that won't be able to rely on the Kovacic, Brozovic, Modric core to carry them against the bigger teams in this group, but will comfortably beat Albania to go ahead of them. I think it's pretty obvious they'll end on like 3 points, maybe 3 or 4 points, if they can get a draw against one of these two teams. Albania, quite obviously, are the minnows in this group. They have a handful of decent individuals, but are not a very good team overall. Broja scored recently, and maybe if he starts firing they can do something, but I highly doubt it. Moving into Group C, and this is the group with my home nation in it, obviously being England. The winner of this group I'm going to be putting as England, but only just. I think both England and Denmark will finish on the same points. I'll put them in there. I think they'll finish on the same points after drawing with each other, but England will go first just due to scoring more goals than Denmark overall. Let's talk about England first. Individually, they are one of the strongest teams in the tournament with insane depth and great young talent. We are one of the favourites to win this tournament for a reason, and I think we'll go far into it trying to avenge the loss in the final last time out. Whether we get to the final again is another question. I think we'll definitely make the final four, barring any absolute howlers from our team. So there we go. Denmark, they have a very strong team and have good individuals too. The defence and midfield are incredibly solid, with Brentford's entire midfield basically, plus Eriksen and Højbjerg. The goalkeeping department is pretty good too. They've got Mads Hermansen in there, obviously Schmeichel in there. They've got Rasmus Højlund up top, obviously, and he's a good striker for the national team. He hasn't been as good for United this season, but for the national team, he's always been very good. And part of the reason why United signed him was that very good run that he had with Denmark. I expect him to beat both Serbia and Slovenia comfortably and get second very narrowly. The third place team I'm going to be putting as Serbia, with Slovenia in fourth place. Now, Serbia overall just have a vastly better team than Slovenia and have a pretty deadly forward line with Vlahovic, Mitrovic and Jovic. I expect them to get the win over Slovenia and thus finish above them. Slovenia basically rely on two players to try and get something out of the tournament, and that's Jan Oblak in goal and the very sought after Benjamin Sesko up top. Perhaps they can be pragmatic enough to get some points in this group, but I doubt it. Moving into Group D, the obvious favourites for this group is France, and I'll be putting them in first. I think they are genuinely the favourites for this tournament too, despite having a few players not being able to play, and them kind of excluding a few players, weirdly, because Didier Deschamps has a weird obsession with only taking players from the French league, which is a bit weird. So, like, I know they won't start William Saliba, for example, which is very bizarre, considering how good he's been in recent years. But yeah, obviously these are the favourites. They've got insane depth, likely will be in the final in my opinion. Mbappe is likely going to get player of the tournament after his transfer to Real just got confirmed too. I have no doubts that France are winning this group. In the second place, I'm going to be putting Netherlands. They're a strong team pretty much everywhere, but especially in the defence. The midfield is good, but the forward line again isn't the best, and they'll get beaten by France in my opinion, and that's basically why they'll be in second. For Austria, now I'm going to talk about Austria a bit more here. I'm going to put Austria in third, Poland in fourth, which may be a bit of a shock. I think Austria have a very decent team, and I almost predicted them to come second as like a shock of the tournament, but I'm playing it slightly safer. Some might argue it's a shock to see them above Poland in truth, but Austria have one key advantage that I don't think gets spoken about enough. Obviously, with the proximity to Germany and a lot of Austrians living in that country, a lot of the fans in the stadiums will be Austrian, and they'll kind of have a home field advantage for the majority of their games, which will be a boost that many other teams, especially teams in this group, don't have. I genuinely think that they'll actually do better than Poland, despite Poland having probably the better individuals overall. Poland, as I said, have a few solid individuals. Obviously, they've got Lewandowski up top, but a lack of midfield / defence isn't going to help them here, in my opinion. Like, the only other player that I think they've really got that can really help them, obviously they've got Zielinski in the middle, they've got Jakub Moder from Brighton, but apart from that, I don't think they have particularly very strong players. We'll finish off with Group E, and then we'll do the third place rankings. Obviously, the favourites for Group E is going to be Belgium. They're clear favourites to win this group as ever, but I don't think they'll be as strong as usual. They've got no Eden Hazard to rely on anymore, and the defence is much weaker than it used to be. But they have more than enough quality with Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku, Doku, etc. to beat the other teams here. The second place team, I'm going to be putting Ukraine. Very, very decent side with some great individuals. Trubin and Lunin are very good solid goalkeeping options. Zinchenko, Mikolenko, Mudryk are all Premier League quality players. Skankov, Malinovsky and Sudakov, they've got some really solid players. And I think they are, as a team, more united than most due to the obvious terrible situation that's going on in their home country. I think if they get some decent away support into the stadiums and can kind of rally behind their team, I think they'll take that morale boost and will probably be able to beat the other two teams in this group. In third place, I'm going to be putting Slovakia with Romania in fourth. Now, Slovakia have a very solid defence with Hanko and Skriniar in front of Dubravka. There's some notable names in the midfield too, with Kuka, Duda and Stanislav Lobotka from Napoli, which I think will be enough to get them above Romania, certainly, and possibly get second place too if they play really well. Talk about Romania quickly here. They've got Radu Dragusin, and that's pretty much it. I will be very, very shocked if they even get a single point. I think this is probably the weakest team in the tournament, honestly. Finally, we have Group F, and the winner of this group is going to be Portugal. This is a no-brainer again. This is the strongest team here. Ronaldo, with players around him finally, is a good thing to see, because he's basically had to carry this Portuguese side on his back for the last few tournaments, and hasn't really been able to do that. They've got a solid defence now, obviously, with Diaz. Pepe is still kicking about at 40 years old, and they've got Nuno Mendes. The midfield is mightily strong. They've got Paulinho, Bruno Fernandes, you know, those types of players. And the forward line is scary too. They've got Rafael Leao in there, Jota, Pedro Neto. They'll win all of their games in this group, and I'd comfortably imagine them to go top. The second place team, I'm going to be putting Czechia, which may be a shock, I'm not sure. They have a very, very strong team, and they've got a lot of good things going for them. Matej Kovar from Bayer Leverkusen as the goalkeeper, the West Ham duo of Kufal and Souček, Patrick Schick and Horslek up top are a danger, as is the 6'7" Thomas Chori, who's an option off the bench. In general, Czechia are a very physical, tall team that will get a lot of goals from set plays. I think they'll be able to beat Georgia and Turkey to go second. Now, the third place team I'm going to be putting in here is actually Georgia, which might be a shock, putting Turkey at the bottom of the group. I don't know why they've called them Turkey here. They're actually now going by their actual, like, Asian name now with Turkey. I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologise for butchering that. So Georgia, obviously, I'm going to be putting in third here, which might be a shock of this group and maybe the shock of the tournament, genuinely, because as I said, I did say that Romania was the weakest team in the tournament. Georgia is another candidate for one of the weaker teams in this tournament, but I think they do have a few really solid options in their team, and they'll be a surprise team to go through to the next round. If they can beat Turkey, I think they'll get into the third place. They'll go through with the third place rankings. Obviously, the big names here are Kvaratskhelia and Mamardashvili, but there are some other decent players here like Georgi Charkovadze from Watford, Zoriko Davitashvili from Bordeaux, and Mikadze, also in France with FC Metz. Apologies to the Georgian community that are watching my videos for absolutely butchering all of those names. I have just a sneaky suspicion they're going to do well enough to get third and possibly go through to the next round. Now let's talk about Turkey. They have decent options in the middle and up top, but their defence is rather stinky. Their team in general is an ageing one, and I don't think they're going to do as well as previous years. They likely will get a point or two just due to Arda Güler creating something for them, but other than that, I don't think they're going anywhere in the tournament. Okay, so let's do the third place rankings now. I'm not going to actually look at the groups and kind of dissect who I think are going to, like, win each individual game type of thing, but so I'm just going to do this by quality. Obviously, Croatia is by far the best team here. I would say Austria are probably next, Serbia are probably next, probably Scotland, honestly, then Georgia, then Slovakia. I don't think Slovakia have the greatest team, in all honesty. Let's go to the round of 16, and this is where it gets interesting. So we've got Germany versus Denmark. I think Germany will quite obviously win that. Switzerland versus Italy. Now, this could be a shock, but I don't think it will be. Italy will likely win this game. Spain versus Scotland. Well, we've seen this match before, and genuinely, this could be another absolute shocker where Scotland beat Spain. I'm not going to predict that, though. I could do it. I could try and do the Mystic Mono thing. I'm going to say it here. This is a very possible thing that Scotland can beat Spain. So when and if it does happen, come back to this video and quote me. But I'm going to be clicking Spain to go through here. I think that's the obvious thing. England versus Austria. England will win this game. Portugal versus Serbia. Portugal will win this game. Now, Netherlands versus Ukraine. This is a very interesting one because I do think Ukraine are good enough to beat the Netherlands, but I think their defense is just so strong that they're going to be able to outlast them. I'll put Netherlands through to the next round. Belgium versus Croatia. I think Belgium will win this quite comfortably. France will obviously beat Czech Republic. Moving into the quarterfinals, we have Germany versus Spain, and if I'm being honest, I think the hosts are going to get knocked out quite early. I'll be putting Spain through instead of Germany here. Portugal versus Netherlands now, and I think Portugal will probably win this. I don't think the Netherlands particularly are an exciting team. They have, as I said, they've got a very strong defence. Their midfield isn't the greatest, and their attack isn't as good. I think Portugal overall have a bit more quality. Belgium versus France. Now, this will be a very good game and likely game of the tournament. Do I think Belgium have enough to beat France? Absolutely no. Match 48. This is an interesting one because this is a repeat of the final from the last tournament. And quite honestly, I don't think we'll lose twice. I think in that game in particular, I don't think we were particularly bad. I think we actually kind of deserved to win. We kind of got smash and grabbed. In that game, obviously we lost on penalties. Overall, I think that we have just a better squad than Italy anyway, and I'd be very surprised if we got beaten twice by them, in all honesty. Maybe this is a little bit biased to me, probably yes, but I think this is probably what will happen. For the semi-finals, we have Spain versus Portugal. Spain will win this 100%. France versus England, we will lose. This is what I said. I think England would get to the final four. I don't think they would get any further than this because the other teams are so strong. Spain versus France in the final, and to be honest, I don't see anyone other than France winning this tournament. I kind of expected this from the beginning. This was my winner, was going to be France. Their depth, their young talent, and just their overall quality is just better than everyone else in the entire tournament, other than possibly Germany. But I think Germany are just a team that kind of, in recent times anyway, have just kind of flopped at the international stages. So whereas France have been a good team all round. But these were just my predictions for Euros 2024. As I said, if you want me to go through and do every single result, I'll probably do that on a live stream. Let me know in the comments down below. And also let me know your predictions down below in the comments too. I'll get through to reading them. And if you are from one of these countries and you think that I've got something wrong, feel free to let me know and I'll be happy to be proven wrong in the comments. Because I do love learning about all these new teams. Obviously, I don't have the greatest insight into all of these other foreign countries, but this is just from what I can kind of see. So enlighten me in the comments. We'll have to wait and see whether France can pull off this victory or if there's any shocks in the tournament, but if you can't wait until then, YouTube reckons you'll enjoy one of these two videos on screen in the meantime. Thank you guys so much for watching as ever, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues!